Hi, my name's Richard Crawford, host of Supply and Demand, an enlightening webcast show where we delve into the dynamic world of the global supply chain and where we navigate through the complexities, disruptions and innovations that shape this vital network of interconnected businesses. From sourcing raw materials to delivering finished products, we'll uncover the challenges that arise at each stage and explore the strategies for optimizing efficiency and sustainability. And each week we'll highlight and discuss a specific supply chain event. And of course, each week I'm joined by my co-host, CEO of the Atlas Network, and of course, author of Supply Chain Ups and Downs, Mr. Kareem Kafuri. So how are you, Kareem?
I'm good, Richard. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So let me guess. Let me guess what today's topic is. I'm going to guess that it begins with T and ends in Arif. Today's topic.
And we just in the last show, or one of the most previous ones, we just had the whole conversation around what is a tariff, why is it important, how it works, and everything else. And, now where we are is these tariffs are being put in place, and they are being put in place as negotiation tactics to have the United States have more favorable terms with other nations where they don't have U.S. products being tariffed and therefore reductions of tariffs between the nations. But we know that as of, I think, last night, 104% tariff being placed on our largest trading partner, China, who represents 70 to 80% of our consumer buying products and behaviors here in the country, as a means of negotiation and to try to shrink this $1.2 trillion trade deficit between the United States and the rest of the world. And what does it mean? How long is it going to go for? China's saying they're not going to bend around this. And the fact of the matter is that they have all the capabilities to basically be able to take some level of that position today. And the United States has got to work through, how it's going to resolve. In the end, regardless of your positions, thoughts, or otherwise, this will impact the cost of goods. American consumers will have to pay more for products. Yep. And it's a really interesting time right now. Doesn't matter where you are on politics or pro this or that or the other, otherwise. It is a very tumultuous time right now that we're in the middle of.
Yeah.
And if you ask
it just blows my mind that it's self-inflicted. Like it just.
Well, again, listen. There's some methods here that are in place.
Yep.
And again, not taking a political stance at all. There are some methods in place. Some of these nations are bending to the will of the conversations that are being presented, and they are accommodating these tariffs. They are having negotiations that were never had before. Obviously, the United States is taking in additional levels of revenue, billions of dollars through these tariffs. But, how far it goes and not, we're not sure. Now, let me tell you, I'm going to be in China at the end of this month.
Yeah.
And I will be at Alibaba, and I will be with my trading partners and my factories and my teams. And what that shows too is that regardless of what's happening in the realm of supply chain, regardless of the ups and downs of supply chain, that tariffs being one of those and other global issues, that we still find a way. We still figure out a way. It's a business around finding your way around, going over, above, around, underneath these obstacles.
Well,
and this is just another one of these.
I hope we really hand it to those penguins. Anyway, let's move on.
Yes.
So we'll introduce our guest now. And our guest today is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. And she is the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain and a 1% of podcasts downloaded globally. Sarah, a very, very warm welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I think we've been trying to do this for a while, right, Karim?
Absolutely. And Sarah's the best. I mean, we've kind of run into each other at a couple of different shows. I've been a big fan of her podcast for a long time. Yeah. I think it's a great show. And I said, you know what? Why not? Why doesn't the podcast interview the podcaster? Let's kind of change it up, make it a little different. 2025, we're trying to do something different with our guests and our format, and really trying to make this supply chain space as relatable as we can. And, you talk to so many different people around so many different aspects and facets of the supply chain. Like, what's going on with you these days? I know you're pretty busy. I'm pretty busy. We're both kind of doing things in and out of the supply chain. Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to.
Before we get into that, Kareem, Sarah, I gave you a very short introduction.
Oh, yes.
I do know that the position you're in didn't come easily. So if you don't mind, give our audience, I'm sure your audience already knows, but just give us a little 2-minute backdrop on the adversity you've faced through the years and how you've gotten to where you are today.
Yeah. And thank you for that. I'm actually writing a book about it, which is going to come out in October, which is really fun.
Good plug.
Sorry?
Good plug. Good time for a plug.
Yeah, thanks. I kind of have experience on that. But anyways, so I'm going to date myself. I've been in logistics and supply chain for just about 25 years or so. I started off in logistics. So my parents owned a freight forwarding company, which is like a travel agent for cargo, so to move goods around the world. And I did everything. I started off as reception, I did air freight and ocean freight, and I did warehousing, and there's a lot of fun stories that I'm going to share in the book that come with that. And then I was director of sales and marketing, and I thought, how do we tell our brand story? And you guys know this, right? You've been in the industry for a while. 2016, marketing and supply chain was a little, not so fun as it is now. And I thought I'll start a podcast. I thought if Lewis Howes can have a podcast, why can't Sarah Barnes-Humphrey? And I asked a gentleman from my customs department to be my co-host, and tongue-in-cheek, we called it Two Babes Talk Supply Chain because I wanted to see how far we could push the industry. And we got 1,000 downloads overnight one night, wow, which was crazy. But then unfortunately in 2017, we had to close the doors of the business. And I was out on my butt with nowhere to go, but I had companies paying on the show. So I lost my team, I lost my co-host. Yeah. I had to learn graphic design, social media, website design, and nobody would hire me as a designer. Okay, this is not, I tried my best, but I'm not very good at it. And in January 2018, I started the Woman in Supply Chain series. And then by April, no women would come on a show called Two Babes Talk Supply Chain. So I rebranded and renamed it Let's Talk Supply Chain, and the rest is kind of history.
Well, a huge congratulations on that. That's quite the story. And look at today. I mean, I am actually pretty new to the supply chain world. But even I can see that it's changing, that it's becoming more involved. And what I've learned is that 99% of businesses are in the supply chain world, one way or another. So everybody's involved.
Most people are working in supply chain, but they don't realize that they're a supply chain professional. And
exactly.
I'm talking about finance, right? Finance plays a big role in supply chain, and some of those in accounting or accountants or in trade finance don't think of themselves as being in supply chain. And so it's a very, very big industry.
Asking you about today's environment. I mean, I'm up here in the Washington, D.C. area, and it's pretty quiet. That's obviously tongue-in-cheek.
Okay.
So to Kareem's point just a minute ago, what are you seeing? What are you hearing and seeing in the position that you're in?
I mean, so many things. How much time do we have? I'm not sure we have enough time to go through it, but it's one of the reasons why I wore my shirt, #supply chain issues, right? I mean, there's so much disruption. There's so much going on. There is a lot of uncertainty. I'm sure you've talked about it, and people might not want to hear about it anymore. But like tariffs, right? It's throwing everybody for a loop. You've got trade compliance people coming out of the woodwork and, being front and center and really giving us a clear indication as to what this means and how people should mitigate risk. And it's really, really awesome to see and hear, right? We're learning so much, I think, at this particular moment in time in supply chain. And it's kind of been that way since the pandemic. It's really propelled us in a variety of different ways, propelled supply chain professionals across the board. And it can be a little bit stressful, a little bit overwhelming. And it's different professionals within supply chain that are being really pulled in different directions at different times.
Yeah, and I would even say as well, it's an interesting time for just consumers, right? I mean, people that just are looking at their purchases in different ways. Hey, this is this much more expensive, or it's not on the shelves anymore. It must be the supply chain, right? The downstream impacts of what's happening upstream. And the conversation is so relevant, and people are tuning in, and it's just interesting to see that supply chain is somehow, top of mind and relevant in so many ways, because it did touch everybody's lives, does touch everybody's lives, but now people are understanding in some ways how. And we're a part of that. Your show, our show, these events that we go and attend and talk about, the book that you're working on, the things that we do. It's all part of an educational experience that I think is transitioning in the world today and is a global phenomenon. I mean, I'm going to be in China with my offices and my teams at the end of this month, talking with suppliers about everything that's happening, going to Hangzhou with Alibaba and discussing, what's going on in global trade issues. And it's trying to still bridge this gap and make sure that through technology and communications, we can still make this global economy move forward for our customers and for others. And it's just a crazy time right now. And I think we should all be very honored to be a part of it and being in the middle of a very relevant conversation that's happening today.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just a couple of days ago on my live show called Thoughts and Coffee. I go live on Tuesday mornings. I was talking about how Chipotle was buying avocados from Mexico, and now they're looking at South America. And you kind of think, okay, they're looking to source in different locations, but what does that mean? Mm-hmm. Mexico, you can truck avocados. South America, you cannot. That's got to be sent by ocean. Carbon emissions goes up. It's got to be refrigerated. So many different things to think about if there's no trade agreements, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's the thing that's really interesting too about the supply chain, how it absolutely is like a pebble in a lake. The ripple effects, like you just said, that decision that may be so simple to say, hey, it's not Mexico anymore, it's South America, then is transit and refrigeration and increased costs. And now your guacamole costs $10 instead of $2. Well, somebody had to pay for that. I mean, so when I go to Chipotle next time, am I going to buy a $40 sandwich instead of a $10 sandwich? And how does it impact? How does it impact clothing? How does it impact building materials? How does it impact our cost of gas at the pump because of our relationships with Mexico and with Canada and so forth? So, I mean, there's so many things at play here that are so interesting. And you even brought up a great point about sustainability, right? All we're trying to do is, based on COP28, reduce those carbon emissions, and now longer voyages because it's cheaper and the planet then suffers. And how do we sort of mitigate all this? But so interesting, and we're right in the middle of the whole thing, so it's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, enough about global issues. Let's talk hot seat segment, the fun segment that we can take a little breath here and sit back and just enjoy some of the answers that Sarah's going to give us for our hot seat segment. And just so you know, Sarah, I've already told you this, but the hot seat segment is us asking you 3 questions that you'll answer within 5 minutes. So all 3 questions, and you can go over 5 minutes or you can be under 5 minutes, but you have to be as close as possible. And historically, we've had some really close people. We had one guy was within half a second, which I'm pretty sure he was sitting with a stopwatch in front of him.
I don't even know.
But that's all right. So are you ready for it?
I think so. You're making me nervous now.
That's all right. It's fun. It's the hot
drum roll, please.
Yeah. Sarah, if supply chain had a theme song, this is interesting, what would it be and why?
Don't stop believing my journey, because every day in supply chain is a wild ride, and you've got to keep believing that the shipment will show up, even if the tracking says it's still in transit.
Even if you lose that blip on the ocean every now and again, where did it go?
You're cutting into my time. Where's question 2?
Question 2. And by the way, it's as close to 5 minutes as possible. So time it. Take it easy on the time.
We got to use up that 5 minutes, Sarah.
I'm trying to help you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you. I was I thought I had to do this as fast as possible.
No. As close to 5 minutes as you possibly can. So we're helping you out here. Is there anything you'd like to add to that first question?
No, I don't think so. I think I'll stick with that one.
All right, good.
All right. So number 2, you're stranded on a desert island and can bring one supply chain technology tool, what's coming with you and how is it helping you to survive?
That one is such a hard one because I talk to technology companies all the time, but I think I might say a drone, because if I need anything delivered like SPF 50 or an espresso shot, or does a drone count?
Yeah, it absolutely counts, especially when I've been going to these shows and all I see are drone fulfillment and running around in the warehousing. Of course, absolutely.
I do have one more though. Can I have two?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. What about predictive analytics? So that I can take a look at my consumption patterns based on the food that I have available to me on that island. And it lets me know how many days I have until I run out of it.
So you're going to log your coconuts and you're going to log your little Dungeness crabs that are running around.
Yeah.
And all the fish in the water. Basically like Castaway. You want to log all the Castaway menu items. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Think how much money you could make if there was avocados on that island.
Right?
Oh, yes.
No, I'd be able to ship them to Chipotle.
Exactly.
Can I go back to that first question though?
Yes, you can.
So I think the other song that I would want to use is Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. I mean, who doesn't want a T Swift song?
Right.
But Shake It Off really is, I think, pertinent in this particular situation, because if you've got a container stuck at sea, right, you want to shake it up.
Yep, for sure.
Gotta. If you don't do that, you're gonna basically pull your hair out, and we don't have much left of that. So we got to take it.
I don't know about you. I got lots of hair.
It's a story for a different time, but I'm actually a Swiftie. Anyway, okay, question 3, and you have almost 2 minutes for this. What's one surprising or weird thing people don't know about you as a supply chain pro and content creator?
I want to play a dead person on a TV show.
Oh, that you need to go deep on that one. Not an actor, almost like a prop.
I don't need a speaking role. I don't want any of that. I watch a lot of crime shows. We love watching a good true crime show, and I really just want to play a dead person on a hit TV show. I just want to lay there, whatever, like, you know.
So you want all the
blood coming out of my mouth, maybe?
White caked face, no blood in your body, lifeless body. That's so funny.
Or is it the whole dying scene, like where you?
No. I don't want to act it out.
You just want to be dead still, body line with
he wants to get
trickle of blood. They'll put out the mouth.
She wants to get paid to lay there. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's so funny because I've never met anybody in my entire life who said that they want to be paid to basically be a prop.
I don't even need to get paid. I will travel. I will pay for my travel and go just for the opportunity.
Hey, actors, by the way, actors are just paid props that speak. Just FYI.
That is true. That is true for sure. So how do we do, Ricky?
Let you've got just a little bit of time. You want to wrap it up with anything, Sarah, on that last one?
No, I don't think so. That's really, I mean, I had singing lessons when I was younger, and my singing teacher was the lady who jumped on the car in Happy Gilmore. The old lady, the crazy old lady. So I think she was the one that, got me into this.
All right, we'll stop it right there. All right, pretty close. You're about 19 seconds short of 5 minutes. So that's actually good. That's good. But I'm glad to give you a little insight. Otherwise, you would have been done 4 minutes ago.
Do I make the Hall of Fame and get some sort of trophy that I can put back here? I mean,
you are within the top 2 in 2025, which is great.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're under obviously makes sense because you're in supply chain, so you're all about efficiency. So I would expect that you would have been early anyway. But we had to recalibrate you there for a minute because when you answered the first question in 5 seconds, we're like, wait a minute, you got another 4 minutes something to go here. So
it's okay. I think I can fill it. We did a good job of filling up that.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
So just one last thing before we go, Sarah. Man, the time flies. This has been wonderful. I've thoroughly enjoyed this podcast today. If you could have a coffee with anybody, who would it be, alive or dead, and why?
My grandfather.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
that's sweet. That's a good answer.
And probably, you know what? Another one is Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, cool.
Oh, All right.
Winfrey, I would love to have a cup of coffee. And who knows? Maybe with my book, I'll end up in her, book club.
I could see that. I could definitely see that happening. Why Oprah? Why her? I'm from Baltimore, by the way, and she's from Baltimore. So why?
I just love everything that she's built. I really respect, sort of Harpo Productions, and I look at it as something that I want to be able to build with Let's Talk Supply Chain. I'm on the path to building that.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually reached out to some people at Harpo Productions, haven't heard back, but would love to have some coffee with them as well and just sort of pick their brain on how they built it, what that looked like. And when I look at producing live shows for other people, because that's one of the things that we do at Let's Talk Supply Chain, I've actually used her model for putting that together.
Awesome. Amazing.
That's amazing. And my hope is that we're going to be able to see each other more too, at some coming events, hopefully, or other places where our paths may cross. I feel like you and I are circling this industry in like a similar pattern, sort of different ways, but same ways. So, I mean, I'm just thrilled that we were able to, have you on the show today. This was really great.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, this is such an honor, and we'll have to figure out how to do it again. I mean, you and I literally only just met in person just under about a year ago, right?
Yep.
That home delivery world.
Exactly right. And I mean, I'm happy to be talking with you, and I'm happy that you came on with us today. Obviously, we'll make sure to get the show to you, to your people, and put it out on our end as well, and continue to grow this and do our part to make the supply chain more entertaining and more exciting, right?
Let's do it. And congratulations to you both on all of your growth and all of the opportunities that you've got going on for 2025. It's amazing.
Thanks, Sarah.
You too, Sarah.
So, Sarah, before we go, if people wanted to get a hold of you or listen to the show or catch you on social media, how can they do that?
A lot of different ways. So let's talk supplychain.com. We've also got secretsocietyofsupplychain.com. I am Sarah Barnes-Humphrey on Instagram and LinkedIn. Make sure to connect and follow. Would love. I answer all of my comments. I answer all of my DMs. So would love to see you over there. And then, of course, Let's Talk Supply Chain on YouTube and LinkedIn as well. And then I've got a nonprofit, blendedpledge.org.
Cool. Awesome. And Kareem, just remind the audience how they can get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you or see some of the stuff that you're doing.
Sure. So basically for any supply chain issues or solutions in manufacturing and so forth, it's theatlasnetwork.com, which is my company. For any of my kind of personal thought leadership or around the book and so forth, it's kareemkafoury.com. And like Sarah said, same kind of thing, Kareem Kafoury on Instagram, LinkedIn, or any of the social media platforms.
Fantastic. And of course, thank you everyone for joining us here in the Supply and Demand Show. And don't forget to follow and like us at the Supply and Demand Show on LinkedIn and YouTube. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.